BS.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Super BS Games Cast. Today, it is just a duo here. We're missing that lovable baby boy Brank, who is doing big boy things tonight, working that 9 to 5, and leaving just me and my good friend Gerald here. Gerald, how you doing, man?
Doing okay, man. Ready to talk some video games and some video game-based shows, both of which have earned a lot of conversation, a little bit of controversy here or there, varying opinions, and in one case, a WTF on a classic icon, which we'll discuss on the show as well.
Ooh, digging into that controversy already.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Has there ever been a successful Starship Troopers video game?
Yeah. Of course, I think so. Well, actually, the last two that just came out in the past couple of years, those two were not failures. Especially the last one has actually reported good, decent numbers as far as, I guess, for a small, I want to say indie, but smaller studio project. But yeah, the best by far Starship Troopers game is, of course, the game that came out earlier this year, Josh, which is heavily based and influenced off of Starship Troopers. Can you name that game?
I know they just put out a trailer for Extermination, but
Which has done okay. Which has done okay.
I'm getting my list out here.
Okay, well, surprised that you haven't guessed.
Okay, I'm getting it out here. Is it called? It's not called Rico's Roughnecks, is it? All right, so here we
No.
go. We have Rift Trooper.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, that's not. Those are board games. No, I don't want this. What is this?
I got you on that one, but you're gonna hit yourself in a second here when I say what it is.
Is it just called Starship Troopers?
No, it's Helldivers 2, man.
Oh, is that a Starship Troopers game?
That is very much based on the in lovingly. By the way, the game makers have admitted, and especially if you watch it, the way it's based, the way the training against a lot of the bugs, but also the sarcastic and very, I guess, just noteworthy tone that they have throughout the game. It's like, of course, what we saw as far as throughout the movie itself, Starship Troopers, as far as how much it's their opinion as far as what certain things in our society could lead to if gone wrong, which of course at the time not many people got, but in years since, of course, that everybody seems to have gotten the message now, and hopefully one day we'll get again in maybe a revamped TV or film. But yeah, it is very much based. The creators have said Helldivers 2 is based off of it.
I can see that. I can see the resemblance. It's funny with like Starship Troopers. You're mentioning the like what do you call it, the political undertones or whatever. You have to watch that movie several times in order to pick up on them, because at first you watch it and you're just like not terrified, but you're shocked by the amount of gore and violence on the screen. And then you watch it again and you're like noticing other things. And on the third pass through, at least for me, I was like, oh, that's clearly a reference to Nazi Germany. And so
Yes.
yeah. All right, but I got a list here. Okay, so I have
but it was Paul Verhoeven's way he directed it. A lot of people misinterpreted that.
Yeah.
Saying he was in favor of it, but
no. Well,
actually, he has stated specifically that it was the exact opposite because of what he experienced as a youth himself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Empire Strikes Back's the same thing, though. I mean, I'm pretty sure that movie is loosely based on is that World War II or Vietnam, one of the two. So I'm not,
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure. But all right. So I got a list here. We have First to Fight Starship Troopers, and that came out in 2007. Starship Troopers, the game, came out in 2005. The last one to come out was October 17th. It's called Starship Troopers Continuum, and that's on PlayStation. There's Starship Troopers Extermination that came out 2024, or sorry, October 11th. So there's been two games this year that have come out. There's Continuum and Extermination,
Mhm.
and
They're both
yeah,
okay. They're not
okay.
they're not embarrassing.
I was
You
just
just can't.
yeah. Well, I mean, I was just curious. You don't see like people don't summer games or whatever, and the Game Awards, all these places that show the high profile trailers. You never see something for Starship Troopers, even though it seems like a property that'd be prime for like a big video game franchise.
They're just not made by large entities. They don't feel Sony's never pushed it. In fact, because Sony is the one that actually, I believe, has the rights to it. As
Mhm.
far as TriStar, Sony TriStar, and they just never really have pushed it. And to me, it would just scream, let's go ahead and do this on a larger platform. Like, let's create a game for it for PlayStation 5, first
Yeah.
party, etc., etc. But no, not really. It seems to be something, I guess, maybe that Sony either doesn't have full control of, or they just don't seem that interested in.
Mhm.
But it was a pretty good success in its run on Netflix, which just ended in the recent months. I watched it personally 5 times while it was on Netflix, and uh, I think it's just something they should go back to in a game or on a larger scale, a game form or a television or movie deal. So that's just me.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, it has the makings of like a Halo-esque game, or even, something along the lines of Resistance: Fall of Man. Like that would be
Agreed.
there's big potential in that franchise if they were to, separate themselves from the cheap developers and mobile games and things like that. They could probably make something really special.
Yes, they could. Absolutely. And I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I just am hoping that they will do that someday in some form or fashion, because I really think it would work with audiences. I know that we've always talked about on the Cosmos about going back, doing the nostalgia thing. It doesn't always click, but I think if there's one property that would work, if it's done well, it would be Starship Troopers. You use a mix of the old characters and the old actors
Yeah.
with a mix of new, and I think you've got something good on your hands, my friend. With a
Yeah.
new threat from whether it's Zendathu or Clendathu, excuse me, or another planet with another enemy on the run. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And also Starship Troopers was influenced by Ender's Game too. So it's funny how every piece of science fiction has influenced another, and we have science fiction influencing things happening in the real world, right? Like a lot of the
mhm.
surgical tools and medical things that we can do, probably would not have thought to try them if not for a lot of these big works of science fiction out there. So,
You
anyways,
got it.
fun facts. All right, before we get into some game stuff here, I got to ask you: did you check out that trailer for 28 Years Later today?
I did. I actually saw it yesterday. I should have sent it over to you, but I was so giddy telling you about Chris Evans coming back into the
Oh,
MCU.
that,
Forgot to
yeah,
go ahead and send that over to you. But yes, I saw it. I love that haunting music. I don't know if it's like an old song actually that is an old song, or if it's something that they made in that style, but it
yeah,
it fits perfectly to the trailer. So yeah, well done, whoever made the trailer, because I think it really sells it really good.
yeah. So it's a poem by Rudyard Kipling, and they recorded in like a really scratchy voice, make it sound like it's coming off a record player. Really cool, but
Mhm.
I don't think I've ever like looked at a trailer and stepped back and been like, man, that was the perfect trailer. But that was probably the perfect trailer because it set out to do everything that it meant to do, and more. Like it kept me
Yes.
glued to the screen the whole time. Like I want to watch more. I want to see what happens. But I'm also terrified. Do I want to keep watching this? And it was great. It was really, really great.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's been a long time since I got back into that universe. I was kind of, how should I say, kind of turned me off the minute that Brendan Gleeson got infected. Oh, spoilers! But yeah, if you haven't
Oh
seen it, it's
no.
been almost 28 years later.
Ah,
So if that's the case, yeah, kind of like because Brendan Gleeson's one of my favorite actors. So yeah, just seeing him get infected, like, bummer. But all right, it is what it is. But yeah, it was a really good first two turns by Danny Boyle, the director of
mhm.
the first two, and yeah, I expect nothing less on this one. Although people are speculating if that zombie in the trailer is.
It's Cillian Murphy. Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah, we'll
Oh,
have to wait and see, won't we?
absolutely.
All right, so let's go to you first. You've been viewing some things on Amazon here that we've been talking about a little bit over the course of the past few weeks, but you're the only one of the three of us that's actually sat down and watched it. So tell us a little bit about you know what.
Well, that would be Secret Level, Amazon Secret Level, which just came out. This is an anthology of video games. Certain specific video games are covered in each of the episodes in this anthology. It's from the makers of one of the, I guess, more popular or more revered uh, animated anthologies that's been out there on Netflix called Love, Death, and Robots, which I have personally enjoyed over the years. I think it's been on at least one of our best of pop culture lists in the past. And so far as eight of the, I don't know if it's 16 episodes, but it is if the first eight episodes dropped this week. They average anywhere from 8 minutes to 15, I think. So, I mean, for me,
It's about what I
I
expected them to be, though.
yeah, and I'll just say this. I know the Metacritic and the reviews have been really harsh on this series, and I know it's not going to hit a home run like Love, Death, and Robots, especially that first season of Love, Death, and Robots is going to hit. But I think when it comes right down to it, so far most have been entertaining, although they get a little bit of samey. A lot of the, and maybe it's because of bad factors based off video games, they base themselves in a universe where there's a lot of gunplay, whether it's laser guns, whether it's regular guns, what have you. It's a lot of based off of warring factions and things of that nature. I think if I would have told the guys at Secret Level to do one thing differently, is like choose a wider variety of video games to be represented.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first thing I would say. And I guess if that's the case, you can take it for what it's worth. Some hit more than others, and then there's one episode that I really think you need to go, what was going on here? Because it was really a misfire. But
Yeah.
there were a couple that are pretty good and actually worth watching. And I notified Melinda because her husband, Robbie Ross, is a huge, huge Henry Cavill like Warhammer 40K fan, and they have a Warhammer 40K episode that is one of the best in the lot.
Okay, yeah, I was curious about that because that was the one that everyone's talking about originally. So I have some thoughts on this. Like I
That and the Crossfire episode are the two
Crossfire.
ones I read.
Okay.
But those, because those two are the most simplistic in nature, those are the ones that really don't have to have much plot explanation. It's given to you within the first minute or so that you find out what's going on, and so they keep it simple. Those two, and when you're having something that's only 10 to 15 minutes long, it's best to keep it simple. There are some episodes where they needed more than just 15 minutes to tell their entire story.
Yeah, so that's where I was kind of, on the fence about this show, and it's the fact that what are we going to get beyond like a giant cinematic, like a cutscene in one of the games itself? Like what in 20 minutes, what kind of story can you tell? Because it takes video games anywhere from 8 to 60 plus hours to tell the story that they're trying to tell. So what exactly can they accomplish within 20 minutes? And on the other side of that, though, like critics who are kind of panning this show, what were they expecting?
And
what are
they're
you
also calling them glorified commercials of these games, and I'm like,
what again, what are you expecting it to be?
yeah, I hear you.
Like, are you
I
expecting
hear
to
you.
have 20 minutes to tell this, like, really in-depth tale that captures your emotions and your imagination and just takes you off on in this adventure? It doesn't work like that. Most of the cutscenes in the video games these things are from are anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes in themselves. So, what what are they expecting? Like, I just figured that this would be a cool way to showcase, like, what this company can do.
I think the visuals for the most part are pretty good. Sometimes they're really great. Sometimes they're okay, but sometimes they really, really do well and really are interesting to see. Um, but there are some misses. The biggest one, shall I tell about it now? Or
Sure, go for it.
it is Pac-Man. I don't know
Okay.
their interpretation of Pac-Man. Uh, yeah, it's in a very loose interpretation of Pac-Man in a neo-apocalyptic world. Yeah, it was very, very head scratching to say the least. I can't believe that they went there, and that episode alone should be thrown out as trash. Um, I know the other one that a lot of people were talking about was New World, the Once and Future King, which starred Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
I think with that one, they needed to tell out that needed another 10 to 15 minutes to tell a entire story. It feels like it gets cut off halfway through. The animation doesn't always catch up to what Arnold Schwarzenegger is talking, and his voice acting isn't the greatest. Well, his acting was never really the greatest, but what can you say there? And then Keanu Reeves with Armored Core Asset Management. It's great that he has embraced the video game community, but yeah, seeing this one with Armored Core just kind of was just like it was there. He just gets in the cockpit and he's there, and yeah, he's battling, and then that's it. So
I I feel like a lot of people are just excited to see these properties that they love though in a different medium outside of like
agreed.
a video game. So I don't know, I'm on the fence, man. I'm gonna watch it still when I want to get a chance to do that. But
Another
I just
curious thing is why would you start a video game centric anthology with Dungeons and Dragons?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't make sense either. Especially like Dungeons and Dragons has had plenty of things out in the past couple of years that just seemed
Yes.
unnecessary.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So secret level, where do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd probably say right now 6. I haven't seen the rest of the episodes yet, but what I have seen so
Yeah.
far, again, sometimes it really hits and it's good. Like I mentioned, the Crossfire episode, the Warhammer 40K episode, but it gets a little too samey.
Yeah.
And again, the Pac-Man episode is absolutely horrible. But you take out that, I give it around a 6. Close. It's close to the IGN 5 because of that Pac-Man. But if you take out that Pac-Man, it gets a little bit higher score for me. So you might want to skip over the Pac-Man. I'll just say
All
that.
right. All right. All right. Yeah, because I heard that version of Pac-Man was actually loosely inspired by the Pixels Pac-Man. Is why I was reading about that episode.
Yeah, we all know how that one did.
Right. Okay, so there's this little game that nobody knows about that came out this week that all three of us have had the chance to play. I'm sure Brank will give us his thoughts once he's back, but I have had some time to sit down with it. You have had some time to sit down with it, and the little game is called Indiana Jones and the Golden Circle, right? Golden.
Mhm.
So I keep wanting to call it the Golden Compass, so that's why I got to
Well,
double.
we were calling it just the other day as far as the Circle of Destiny.
I know because
So that
the Dial of Destiny. I know I kept thinking about that. I'm like, that sounds right, but also doesn't sound right.
maybe they
Okay.
should have after watching the last movie.
Yeah. Actually, I like the last movie better than the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I think both those two and the second one can be in a nice little corner on the
Pretty
side.
stinky.
Yes.
Right.
Just,
Uh,
you know what? I'm sure Steven Spielberg has lived a long and happy life with Cape Capshaw, but
yeah.
to have her scream through an entire movie along with Ki Hye Kwan, who I'm so happy got a Academy Award, tremendous performance, but to indie, and then
Yeah.
hear Andy, they're both screaming and whining throughout the entire movie. I would never want that experience again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I wanted the actor actually to take my heart out halfway
Just
through that movie.
put you out of your misery.
Yes, yes.
All right. So let's talk about the intro to the game real quick, and then we'll go talk about our thoughts on it. So the game opens up. If you've not played it yet, I'm going to spoil some things. The game opens up with one of the most iconic Indiana Jones scenes ever. The one that everybody remembers, right? The initial Raiders of the Lost Ark. He goes into the tomb. He's getting ready to grab the idol. And the all the stuff happens. As things shoot out of the wall. The giant boulder starts rolling. Do you think that was a good decision to put that in there, or do you think that they were trying to? Do you think that was kind of cheating to use something like that in the beginning of a game?
I liked it. I thought it was outside of the box. I think that's something that was surprising to me and a lot of people when I heard that they were going to utilize that as the prologue, as the tutorial. It's a tutorial, everyone out there. And having the Alfred Molina character in there, I thought was a nice touch, added touch. It's not him voicing it, but still, it's great to have him, his likeness in there and going through it. No, do you see the boulder after initially looking at it? After a second, do you look at the boulder? Do you see the boulder? No, you don't see the boulder, but it's a tutorial. It's a tutorial.
Yeah.
And in doing that, you have to learn how to play a game. It's there to teach you. That's the first thing that segment does. And instead of just doing a random indie adventure, which you could have done, and it could have served its purpose, it's nice nod to why they wanted to do it in the first place, because the first and third movies are so good that it makes you want to love and bypass everything that was done in the second, fourth, and fifth movies. They want you to go ahead and tell you why that they love this. It's Machine Games telling you why they love the Indiana Jones character, why that they wanted to do this game.
It's a love letter for sure. That opening scene is absolutely a love letter to the franchise and to the fans. And I'm with you. I think it was a good move on their part. And then I would have loved to have the part with the boulder, been able to like fully run through the thing, but then he trips and he goes off into the dream world or whatever and wakes up. He hears the voice of Miriam in his head, and you hear different clips from Raiders of the Lost Ark in there. And so that was it was a nice touch. It was a nice touch, a nice opening. And Indy obviously wakes up at his desk, right? And he's going through the museum. We see the giants. I'm assuming he's Egyptian because he's looking at the mummified cat. I don't know. I'm about.
I think this takes place after Raiders, but before Temple of Doom, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think that's where it's at on the timeline. But you go do the break-in happens at the museum, and you see the big giants guy
Rest
talking
in
to
peace, Tony Todd.
Yep, and you see him talking to the sarcophaguses and the glass case. Okay, so what are your initial thoughts on the game?
My initial thoughts, because I'm just a couple hours into the game, but I'm having a blast. It's so fun. Outside of some small quibbles, if you're too slow to investigate things, there's audio loops, like they'll repeat the same things to you if you're too slow because they're anticipating you going through a little faster. Other than that, it's been a fantastic ride, and I'm having fun. And the idea, and that's something we get so much into. We get so, okay, how are the mechanics? How is the gameplay? How is this? How is that? How's the inventory system? How is the graphics? How is this? How is that? How's the sound? All these other variables. But at the end of the day, is the game fun? Is the game that you're playing fun? Are you doing it because you want to? Or are you doing it because you have to? And Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a game I want to play and want to keep going back to. It is a hell of a lot of fun.
Yes, yeah. So I'm in the same boat as you. I have been in.
Okay.
the fighting, the fists.
Mhm. Okay.
Yet,
Okay.
when they're talking about the first time I actually got to use it, to its potential was when you land from the plane and you show up in Vatican City and you're walking around the yard and you see the security guard comes up to you. It's not security guard or fascist or whatever he is, and he attacks you.
Anytime you could beat up a Nazi, it's a fun game to me, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, yes. So, but I think it was the parry system that threw me off because it was saying because like in like Assassin's Creed and a lot of these other games, you have to block, you have to parry and counter. So I kept
Mhm,
tapping it and then letting off of it instead of like holding it down because it says hold right bumper down,
mhm.
but I kept just tapping it because I was expecting him to like push the fist out of the way and then do a quick counter attack, but it didn't work like that. So I kept dying and I was like, "What? This game shouldn't be this difficult." But it was just because I was playing around with a mechanic I'd never used before, and then as I got used to the fighting and realized you have to hold RB down, got a little bit easier. I do one thing I will praise for the game too is that the puzzles, right? The puzzles don't hold your hand. Uncharted does that a little bit where it tells you like if you take too long to do something, it like tells you to do something. But Indiana Jones, you're kind of left to figure it out. Like if you put something for example, in the museum, when you're putting stuff back into the case, like it tells you when you put it in there if that's right or wrong, but it doesn't tell you like when you pick it up, it doesn't say, oh, this might go over in the blah 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 exhibit. You have to kind of like play around with it and figure it out yourself. So I am enjoying how the puzzles don't tell you what to do or really try to nudge you in the right direction, but they're still not overly complicated.
No, no, and again, the way this has been structured, Machine Games needs to be praised heavily. This is one of the best games of the year. It is criminal that it's not going to be part of the VGAs. That again seems kind of moronic that the 2024 Video Games of the Year does include one of the best video games of the year. So we'll just leave it at that. Where is it on my list? I'll explain that when we do our best of on the show and on the Cosmos. So we'll go ahead and leave it for that. But um, I will say that again, I had a great time. One thing I would say is, the gunplay. I don't mind the Resident Evil limited bullets thing. I think that's good. That's smart. But the gun itself, you needs to be a little bit more effective. It needs to be because the guys when you pull out your revolver, I think we all know the iconic scene in the original Raiders of the Lost Ark where he just blows
Mhm.
away the swordsman one shot. Now, mind you, you don't have to have it blow away. Each guy be blown away with one bullet. You could have it like where if you hit him in the shoulder, he gets hit in the shoulder, but he acts like he gets hit in the shoulder, something like that. But it should be a little bit less of a bullet sponge. But again, they don't want you to use guns very much in this game. They want you to more work on as far as other melee type combat and stealth combat is what they clearly want you to go ahead and do first and foremost. And yeah, I wasn't really a stealth guy and still not to this day, but my gosh, I'm still having a lot of fun stealthing in Indiana Jones, and believe me, it's just been a great time. And I'm taking my time with this one. I'm taking my time to explore a lot of places. I'm not going to do the OCD Josh thing, but I am going to go ahead and do as much as I can while I have the time to do so. Yeah, it has just been well worth the ride so far.
Yeah, so what I love about it is that that you don't you run out of ammo pretty quick, but you have to rely on all the other mechanics in the game. The fist, the whip, the gun, like everything plays a part, and that allows you to play the game in so many different ways that it doesn't limit you to what you can do. And because of that though, it actually feels like you're there, like you're Indiana Jones, like you're in the movie. Like I was expecting it to be I was expecting it to have some cool parts to it, but kind of be one of those like, oh, it's a movie, it's an adaptation of a movie franchise, so it's probably going to be lacking some things. But so far, actually, I haven't seen anything that's lacking.
Yeah,
Um,
it's been a
and
lot of fun.
yeah, and if you look at They haven't released a lot of numbers for this yet. I know Steam released day one numbers, and that they had a player count of 8,000 players, which I'm assuming is pretty good for that platform. But
Seems to be a big hit so far everywhere else by every metric. I mean, all the YouTubers, almost all of them are praising it. The reviews, Metacritic has it close to 90. Seems to be getting a lot of interest. I just hope Microsoft pushes this game a lot more before the end of the year.
yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So we're gonna have a little bit of a shorter episode here today, but before we head on out here, I want to ask you the Game Awards are tomorrow night. Usually during the Game Awards, they show some pretty cool trailers or some world premieres. I think last year's was a slightly disappointing, but what do you have anything you're hoping to see tomorrow night?
More Mass Effect, baby, and a new Uncharted. I'm so
A
easy to
new
please.
Uncharted. Yeah. So okay. So Naughty Dog is working on something right now. It's was I think it's a fantasy or science fiction game. So I don't know if it
Probably.
is Naughty Dog, but do you think that they would pass Uncharted off to another company if need be?
I hope not. I hope not. I know that the originators are not in there, but Neil Druckmann did a pretty good job, although they stretched out. We've talked before about Uncharted 4 being stretched out a little thin, just to stretch out the time playing. This is when during a period of time in the late teens when everybody started saying, "Oh, you got to have this many hours of your game. You got to have this many hours in your game. You got to have your game playing this many hours." And so they stretched it out to accommodate it, as opposed to just trying to tighten it up and make it the great experience it could have been. It
Yeah.
was a good experience, but could have been much better. I think yeah, I would not. I'm hoping they would not. Just to me, I think it should stay in house. It's the IP that really put them to another level of storytelling and game recognition.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog is Naughty Dog because of Uncharted, not The
Correct.
Last of Us. The Last of Us is the cherry on top. It is they are where they are because of Uncharted and Uncharted 2, and they should not forget where they have been.
Okay, so this is where it confuses the hell out of me that they did a remake of The Last of Us before they did a remake of Uncharted. Uncharted is way older and way more in need of a remake than The Last of Us was. So where did that decision come from? Like we
I don't.
love The Last of Us so much that we're going to remake it and remaster it on across 3 different consoles.
Yeah,
Whereas Uncharted has gotten, it's gotten its remaster, or I don't even know if the game was remastered or if it's just repackaged,
no,
but
it's just repackaged because they put it bundled with the Thieves, all the Thieves games together, 1, 2, and 3, and I think some of the DLC for after Uncharted 4. They did
yeah.
a whole bundle thing. They put 1, 2, and 3 together, and then they put Uncharted 4 and the DLC together. So yes, but they've never really remastered the Uncharted series, to my knowledge.
So knowing that though, it would make a lot more sense to put some assets into remaking the Uncharted game, or at least, upresing what's been done already, as opposed to just sitting on the franchise and letting it go cold. Like like I said, it surprises the hell out of me that they have not done something like that, because it's a cash grab, but it's a cash grab that will earn you some cash, and it's something that people actually want. So, um, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely there, and it's ripe for the picking.
I'm just saying that you might want to look at it from the fact that yes, they both The Last of Us and Uncharted have sold similarly as far as numbers are concerned. Um, so both deserve the same kind of love and recognition. But right now, it seems to be all about The Last of Us, and of course, the hit TV show obviously plays into some of that. And there's still more story to tell with The Last of Us and The Last of Us 3 and all that, and of course the TV show. But yeah, it's just shame. So
Yeah, yeah.
uh, but yeah, absolutely. It's something that hopefully we will look into and hope that happens. But yeah, what are you looking to go ahead and see at the Game Awards coming up?
So I would really like to see a Spyro the Dragon trailer drop. And I would like to see release date hit for Fable. Like that, those would be my two dream predictions. So I was thinking about Fable today, and I was thinking like it's been what 3 years now since they first showed that trailer. Was it 3
But
years ago?
no, I think it was less because just showing the mockumentary Office style one.
No, because we originally got just the trailer where the butterfly got eaten by the frog, right? And the
Yes,
frog
but
got
then they
eaten
had
by
that mockumentary one. Don't you remember the mockumentary Office style one that they
that
had?
was that was the following year, if I remember correctly. I'm
So
pretty
that's
sure
2
it's been,
years.
but then last year we also got a trailer. I'm pretty sure there's been 3. I don't know, I could be wrong, but
You could be right. No, you're probably right. It's been 2 or 3 trailers, but yeah,
yeah,
we're all,
I was
it's got to be their fall game next year. Fable's
yeah,
got to be their fall game next year.
for sure. But yeah, that's kind of what I'd be hoping for, because I mean, I don't see anything being touched with like we talked about Uncharted or God of War or any of those big franchises. I think we'll get hopefully we'll get something. I don't know what last year, like I said, last year weren't really anything big talked about, so I don't know.
But yeah,
Uh,
looking forward to seeing what's going on. I know that you said we're trying to work something behind the scenes, so hopefully after the Game Awards, we'll go ahead and be able to talk about it while it's fresh. I'm hoping to have a few people there and hoping that you'll be part of it, Josh. But I know even if you're not, you're going to be saying something about the VGAs at some point in time, real soon.
oh yeah, we'll talk on, and I'm sure if I'm not there, we'll talk on Pop Culture Cosmos or Super BS next week, and as we lay out our predictions and whether or not we got them right or wrong.
Oh, we got them right. We're always right.
Oh, we're always right. 100%.
We
100%.
just forget about it when we're wrong. Huh? I don't remember saying that. No,
I remember saying that.
it's not
Somebody
like it's on
edit that
YouTube or
stuff.
anything.
Yeah, go back, fact check. All right, cool, man. Well, yeah, like I said, we're gonna keep it short tonight. We'll be back next week with all 3 of us, hopefully, and we'll talk about the VGAs. But until next time, Gerald, you got any closing thoughts here?
Play Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and you are doing yourself a disjustice if you're not. If you're sitting there saying, "Well, I'll wait for PlayStation to get their copy of it and all that," blah 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 blah. Buy an Xbox, get it on Game Pass. Do any way you can. Play it now. It's a lot of fun. Ending your year on a fun note with Indiana Jones: The Great Circle is the best thing you can do right now.
Yeah, if you're on the fence, get off the fence and get on Indiana Jones. You will
Agreed.
not regret it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, though, for you PlayStation owners, free Astrobot DLC, I think, is around the corner too.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that drop. Actually, I also downloaded Infinity Nikki because I was like, somebody's got to check that game out. And I went to play it last night, and it took me 20 minutes to load into that game. It's because my internet's so bad. It's one of those games, where you have the like Genshin Impact, when it loaded, it had to load like all the assets and the servers and the levels and all that stuff. So by the time the game finally loaded, I was like, I don't really want to play this anymore, and I ended up switching back over to Visions of Mana. So I'll
There
play
you
it
go.
sometime. But all right, until next time, guys, we'll talk to you later. Peace.
Super. BS.